Welcome to the podcast of Verbonden. Today is the second part of the conversation with Samuel Holcman, and the topic is AI, about how it both fools us and enables enterprise architects. Do you want to sharpen your skills as an enterprise architect? Welcome to Verbonden, the podcast where we combine insights from experienced professionals with real-world examples from the world of architecture. My name is Elise Luiks, and I am your guide through the layers of enterprise architecture, making it less mythical and more concrete. I've also been reading up on the impact of AI on the actual EA work. And I think that it's a good thing that we're all new, because there's a statement of one of the enterprise architecture management tools that I found. They claimed, and this is another statement for you to agree or disagree with. The statement was, traditional enterprise architecture frameworks, they will evolve into corporate AI-driven methodologies where AI assists in road mapping, stakeholder communication, impact analysis, reducing dependencies, and on documentation-heavy approaches.
So a few things here with your statements. The number one confusion in EA is the word framework. So your statement there, and I don't know where you got it, I need to explain to you, the audience, what the issue is. Let me provide you with an understanding of that word framework in other disciplines. A framework is a frame of reference. It is the base of the profession. So, for example, in chemistry, the frame of reference, the thinking tool, let me repeat, the thinking tool is Dmitry Mendeleev's periodic chart of the elements.
Mm-hmm.
That chart does not teach you how to implement any chemical, because doing is a methodology. Understanding is a frame of reference. Let me give you another frame of reference. Another frame of reference is the notes and symbology in music. FACE, EGBDF, and all the symbologies. Please note, that's the base of the profession. It doesn't teach you how to play an instrument. It doesn't tell you how to make a score of music. Let me give you the third frame of reference.
I actually know this because I started to learning the music notes, but afterwards I couldn't compose my own songs or I couldn't play any of the Mozart's best pieces. I can learn the notes, but that doesn't get me very far.
The other one is the practice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me give you the third frame of reference. And I know this is going to sound silly to give you an example. The third frame of reference is what we're using right now. And what is that? That's the 26 letters of the English alphabet. That's the only reason that you and I can communicate. We have agreed to speak American English, not European English, and I'll get to that in just a moment. All right. So the first thing you and I agreed with, and we didn't agree with it because we don't even think about it, is the 26 letters of the alphabet. Now, in order to use that, I have a methodology. A methodology evolves. A framework does not evolve. So the people that you quoted need to understand that, yes, the methodologies will be influenced possibly by AI, possibly, maybe, but the frame of reference is still not agreed to in EA. This is where the profession is. We have not agreed that there's 26 letters of the alphabet. We have not agreed what the notes in music are. We have not agreed with the periodic table of the elements in chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to chemistry, you could have called yourself a chemist prior to Mendeleev putting down the frame of reference, but you were not. You were an alchemist. You were guessing.
Mm.
So you see the confusion in these articles already. They're throwing phrases out there that are frankly misleading. So once again, we, the industry, needs a frame of reference for EA, and there is no process, procedure, or methods in it. Think about the periodic table. Think about the notes in music. Think about the 26 letters of the alphabet. When we have that framework, and we believe it's already there, by the way, it's just people are not agreeing. Okay. All right. And then you and I can build methodologies. Think about all the different types of music that are created with those simple few notes. Think about all the chemicals that are produced with those elements in chemistry. Think about all the words and sentences and books that are created out of the 26 letters of the alphabet. The issue for us is confusion as to what a framework is, as you quoted those things. And secondarily, we can't agree on what an EA framework is. So I'm pointing this out to your audience, not in frustration, but in positioning where we are in our growth. So when it comes to AI, something our clients, of course, are extremely interested in. So some time ago, I did a broadcast called Large Language Models, the Newest Fool's Gold. And unfortunately, when I put that out there, what I'm trying to explain to people is please remember the source of AI data is what? Remember those 4 segments I'm talking about. General information on the internet, intellectual property thievery, but they don't have 3 and 4, which are the best practices. So large language models are new fool's gold.
And
so
then
what do we
I'm
tell our
arriving to I'm also arriving to a thought that we have, if you are a big company, you have a lot of data. An activity that I personally really don't like doing is architecture landscaping, like designing everything and doing the archaeologist's work, and getting everything together. And well, that's I think that's a very tedious job for me. If you feed this kind of info, would it help, do you think, the enterprise architect, or would it just make no sense?
Well, I don't know what. I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by feed, but let me help out here. What we need is what we call EAI, Enterprise Augmented Information. That's not a buzzword. What it is saying we can use the tremendous power of the electronic chips, but we have to do it on our own data. And the industry, by the way, I'm not taking credit for this because I didn't invent this term, is now talking about small language models because they realize that the stuff on the internet is vulnerable to manipulation. And secondarily, I want to come back. No one will put their best practices on the internet for other people to use, which means the AI engines are not producing best practices. So you're talking about archaeology. Yes. What we need to do in our own enterprises, and it's uncomfortable, is to build a data structure based on information that we know is solid and good. And some people don't like it. As you said, it's not fun because you are digging. You are absolutely correct. It's archaeology. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great phrase because that's what you're doing. You're trying to dig out what you're using now and structure it in a manner for reuse. Excellent analogy that you have there. So you can see a pathway. You can see a pathway to success. Some of it is a little burdensome, drudgery, not that much fun. Okay. But another analogy I give people, if you want to sit outside under a shaded tree, okay, when was the best time to plant the tree? 25 years ago. Okay. What's the next best time to plant the tree?
Today.
So, I mean, same thing here. We can complain and we can, oh my goodness. I don't like to nobody listens to complaints. Nobody wants to hear complaints. Let's move forward. There is a pathway. And that pathway people are recognizing. But as you mentioned, a lot of people are looking for the miracle that's out there. Now, a little while ago, the miracle was client-server computing. Mm-hmm. Then it was cloud computing. Then it was edge computing. Okay. Then it was outsourcing. Then it was insourcing. Before that, what has happened to the phrase digital transformation? All these marketing terms we hear out there. And what happens, unfortunately, is the industry takes those terms and puts them in front of whatever they're doing. Artificial intelligence enterprise architecture, digital transforming enterprise architecture, client server enterprise architecture, cloud-based enterprise architecture tools. I can go on and on and on, and nothing's changed. Mm-hmm. Now, remember I mentioned to you that one of my degrees is in business administration. So I learned a lot about marketing. Mm-hmm. And so what marketing is, think about it, is to get people's attention. So if I call what I do tomorrow AI enabling enterprise architecture, people will pay attention because that's what people are looking for. AI everything. Now, I have in my office, I always have two computers. I have my computer that I use for real work, and then I have my playground. And my playground computer is different than my real computer. And on that playground, I've got probably 6 or 7 different AI tools, about 40 or 50 different models. And I'm a devil. I sit there and see how foolish these tools can be. And I want to take you back to a phrase that really something we need to think about. The CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, coined the term, well, AI hallucinates. Mm-hmm. Hallucinates. That term is incorrect. AI fabricates. Notice how much more powerful that is. It's indicting on purpose. It is giving you false information and people are making decisions on it. And here in the United States, I can't speak for other parts of the world, we have seen people go to jail because they used that information, for example, in a lawsuit, and the information was fabricated. And the judge put the attorney in jail because they were using that information because the jury was being fooled. This is not funny anymore. But if you use the word hallucinate, it sounds very, fluffy. If you use the word fabricate,
it sounds more manipulative.
Yes. Now, by the way, we have a history here. What do you call the things on your cell phone, the updates that you get? They call them bug fixes and they call them enhancements. You know what the correct word is? We're fixing mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, much more powerful. Why do I like these powerful phrases? Because it helps us understand we got to fix something. Do I want to give you fabricated information? No. I need to fix it. I need to do something about it. But if we use these cosmetic terms, we're really fooling ourselves. And I think we're hurting the profession. So what I try to do is to suggest to people, once again, there's a pathway. But the pathway isn't through these miracles that, that are out there.
I've had a conversation before about AI with an expert, Sami Dupré, and he already mentioned the small language models.
People are.
Yeah, I think that's to me that sounded very much better, because as a company, if you build a small language model based on the data of your company, you actually know what the fabrications are, but it's in a way not a lot safer, and you have more control. And I think if we start looking into that, in what way could it help EA work, for example? Well, I'm actually giving my thoughts here to you.
No problem.
But I'd love to hear your reaction. Yeah. But I think it could help on internal decision making for the company. Not outward looking strategically, but inward looking, and also when, for example, get more grip on governance and risks to detect them even better than maybe humans could.
Yes. So I want to a little amplify things to make sure it's clear. Small language models do not mean it's only our own data. Mm. Small language models to me mean we start with our own data, and as we bring in external sources, we bring them in with essentially governance. We don't go out there and just grab things that are out there. So let me give you an example, and I cannot, unfortunately, talk about the client. When we talk about EA, most people talk about EA as a series of representations of themselves. But we can use those same representations about our competitors. Our competitors have goals, our competitors have process, our competitors have data, our competitor has location, our competitors have events, and everything else. We're not going to know as deeply about them, but we can get that understanding. So what we're doing is building essentially credible data, beginning with our own, which we have to cleanse a little bit, as you said. And I know that's not comfortable because that's the archaeology stuff. It's that work that is less than satisfying to a lot of people. But I want to make it clear, it's not just our own. What we're trying to get people to recognize is these generalized things are just what people have to recognize. There are more people try to influence that in a negative manner. And if you don't believe me, look at the measure of the number of cyber attacks and the number of ransomware attacks and the number of evil things that are happening over the last 18 months. Because everyone knows that if you can get into these big things, you can essentially attack so many organizations. Mm-hmm. And so all I'm trying to suggest to people is that we have to recognize the technology advances are astounding. That's the processing side. Incredible. But what it's processing is getting worse. It's getting less reliable. And because the bad data, and we know this from the AI training models that people tell us about, the data trains on itself. So more bad data trains on more bad data, which generates more bad data, which generates more bad data. And there are organizations out there that are paid to do evil. If we don't think that's the case, we're fooling ourselves. So this public thing that we're talking about is there. Now, as you and I speak, there's a new group out there, the DeepSeek people from China. And all of a sudden, out of quote nowhere, they've disrupted the whole mental model that people had about the expense and the amount of electricity and the amount of processing units and things like that that we need to be able to do this. All of a sudden, okay, now, unfortunately, very little has been said about this because people are still throwing billions at this. And what did you say about bias? Well, we're going to keep going in this direction. We're going to keep going in this because we're putting this is where our future is. Okay. So the thing that DeepSeek has told people is what you and I are talking about. The processing is the easy part. What we're processing is the hard part. So yes, EA can be helped because what we can do now is speed up some of these things that we're doing that we haven't been able to do before. So I'm not dismissing AI at all. Once again, I'm positioning it, and the phrase that we use is EAI, Enterprise Augmented Information. Now, why don't we use artificial intelligence? What is another word for the word artificial? Fake.
Fake. Okay.
So even in the name itself, it's telling people what it is.
Non-human. Well,
and as I said, I hope I'm being a little funny, but the word itself tells us. Okay. So it's fun. By the way, every day we have to have a little fun, and hopefully nobody gets offended by having a little fun, because sometimes the truth hurts a little bit, but we can move forward.
I hope that you will, as the next step, look up Enterprise Augmented Information and also subscribe, of course, to the podcast below. This episode was produced by Pieter-Jan Rombout and the music is produced by Leonard Busset. Next time, we will be talking about how you can succeed in convincing people. See you in the next conversation.